If you see yourself, you gotta be yourself. I am Joe Walkowski, and I am a professional gambler, and I work for the Props Network 5 times a week, giving you my daily NBA bets and analysis. Before we get started, shouts to Sam for all the great artwork he's doing to bump the show. Can we bring that up very briefly? We see me just clapping for a ball going through a hoop. I think that's the picture of a man who took the over. And those are from my playing days, from when we were allowed to play in Bushwick, New York. I played at this certain court, and that photo I have mixed feelings about because I didn't have a good day that day. Lost in the semifinals of a tournament, but I was coming back from knee injury. No big deal. Story for another day. You thought that was you getting a rebound, me clapping? No, that was me watching the championship game. That we put on a tournament that year, and we gave away a car to the winning team. Not like a good car, like a $400 car. And the most unlikable guy in New York comedy, he was in line to win the championship. The scrappy team of just nothing but small forwards came back to beat them in the final. They won the crown and a car. It was really fun. It's the Big Walkowski, awesome basketball tournament every single September. But let's get into another good day. Yesterday, not only did we go 4-on-2, with our extra bets that we threw out there, we went 2-1. So that's kind of like 6-3 on the day. But we are hovering around, we're flirting with 66% on the season. It's 35-25, and we are alive and we are ready to thrive. But really, I was right last night about a lot of things. But the thing I'm happiest about being last night is being right about Lakers and Sixers being the game of the year. Sixers, I knew they were going to show up. Everyone was playing their asses off. Embiid was getting Twitter love. Like, is Embiid better than Anthony Davis? It's everything I've ever wanted to see from Joel. I'm thrilled with this. And I'm also thrilled that we had a battle of the Props Network facing off on both sides of this one. And Mr. Business Casual, Jamoke Davis, came on the other side of this. He went against his home state of Pennsylvania, and he backed the Los Angeles Lakers. It was never going to be the Lakers' night, but it was the night that belonged to the city of brotherly love. So I will not hold it against my brother on the Props Network, Jamoke. We're going to have a great year talking ball on all of these platforms. And if you're down, before we get to the picks, hit subscribe. We got great stuff every single day betting NBA. So I could flaunt in yesterday's victories a little bit more, but let's get to today's slate. It's not a huge slate. It's Thursday and Tuesday. They're the weakest days of the slate this week. A lot of these teams are on some back-to-back. But before we get into it, we have a rule. So we instituted one rule on the podcast, the stream last week, and it was I'm not allowed to have any bets involving the New York Knicks. Maybe it's a thing in their playing style that makes them hard to really get a feel for. I don't know any other teams that are built on like a 4 using dribble penetration to set up shooters. Maybe I'm just too close to it as a New Yorker. So I get a lot of like Knicks feedback in my day-to-day life on my Twitter feed. You can't, and I only watch Eddie when I fall asleep every night. Eddie's a good film. Hooked on Phonics worked for me. That gag killed it. We need more like early 2000s NBA movies. On a tangent, but okay. So the Knicks, they are a rule. We don't involve them, but we do have another rule, and it's been serving me well, so I'm going to make it official. If Chris Paul is starting a game, you take the under. Chris Paul, you think, oh, Phoenix has this exciting offense. They got DeAndre Ayton. They got Devin Booker. They got people who can put the ball in the bucket. That's not the case. They play half-court offense. They optimize for the best shot, and by virtue of it being star power, they kind of get overinflated from a line perspective. So, for instance, tonight, they're playing the Golden State Warriors. We all know the Warriors can score. We all know the Warriors are playing very well right now. Shouts to Andrew Wiggins for having a nice start to the second half of your career, my friend. Who can thrive in Minnesota outside of Prince? Nobody. You see Fargo, those are just people in Minnesota going down Wiggins style. But in this one, we see Golden State. They played last night. Fun matchup. I was watching the Utah game, to be honest. But now they're heading to Phoenix. They're playing a team that plays a lot of half-court sets. In they're a team that's been like pretty banged up and working hard to come back. So a back-to-back across state lines, and the over-under is still 220 and a half. I love the under here, and I did check it against my whale tail model. This is a whale. You can light a lamp in the 1880s with this line right here. You see big money pouring on the other side of it, and I think this is crazy. It's not like a lot of figures are in right now, but I will say that I think this is my biggest whale of the year, actually, is this Chris Paul under. Gabe, my buddy Gabe is back. Oh, we're having a lot of pro Warriors talk in the comments. We have Gabe, we got David Waite. Everyone's coming in from the Warriors, but not tonight. Where is this Warriors roster better than the Suns roster, especially on no rest? They've got Chris Paul. He's historically given Steph Curry problems. They've got James Wiseman, who's, if anything, Phoenix has the full potential, the very highest ceiling of James Wiseman on their roster. DeAndre Ayton is showing him out today. DeAndre Ayton is owning the big man play in this game in every single capacity. And this is me being anti-Warriors. This is me being pro-Suns. Because if you look at the teams that you think can challenge the Lakers in the West, and to be honest, I think only the just effects of having such a low turnaround from like last year's championship to this year's season is going to weigh on LeBron, who it's so important for him to keep his body right, and AD, who's always spraining ankles and having little tweaks. So I think that could take him down, but I like how this Phoenix team matches up with them. I think they're so good, especially given the roster that is still coming together. They've played together 20-some games. And yeah, Golden State, you're right, Gabe. They do have the GOAT. And you're right, Dave. Oubre does have a payback factor here, but the fact is, back-to-back is such a big factor, especially for a team like Golden State where Steph is working back from something, Draymond is working back from something, and I think actually Draymond being so light this year, he might struggle in back-to-backs, and like, I'd love to see Kelly Oubre thrive. He's been a remarkably fun player, and it's been hard to watch him go through this slump. So since we're talking about this game, I do like the Suns here. The Suns by only 2.5. I got it at 2 personally, but I like the Suns. I like the under, and I like this as a nice way to spend your 10 o'clock hour. Like similarly to like last night's game where it was Philly and the Lakers, were like really realistically with Embiid and Ben Simmons next to LeBron and Anthony Davis, like they're playing the best version of the team they could be. That's a fun matchup to me. And I think this is the same thing. This Suns team, I love their upside. I love their young cats. And just given the shooting splits that Booker can put from 3 and Chris Paul can put it from mid-range and drawing fouls, and the efficiency of having a big guy who could just finish near the basket, I could see them evolving into Golden State 2.0. I think they do have a higher upside than any other young team in the West. And yeah, I will include Dallas in that. Maybe I won't include Denver, but I just don't really view Denver as a young team because they're there right now. But yeah, I like the Suns tonight. I like the Suns under tonight. And every night moving forward, I like the Suns. Let's issue a stay away alert, right? So if you just want to even like throw gambling amounts out the window, if you just want a profitable bet, shut up, Dave. I mean, I'm coming down from the high of my marketing class I took this afternoon. Yeah, the Suns are better than the Mavericks. I love DeAndre Ayton, especially because we're just seeing the NBA go back to the era of the big man. Show me Porzingis from 2016. I don't see that athleticism. I think that guy is never healthy. And if it is just Luka and Josh Richardson and Tim Hardaway, I kind of like Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, and DeAndre Ayton with the greatest floor general to never get it done, CP3. Is that a good explanation? Am I good on my Suns argument? I'd love to move on. I want to talk a little Detroit basketball. So can we do it? Can we talk Detroit? We're very chatty about the Suns and Mavs today. We are very chatty about these teams. And yes, I did spend 3 months in Arizona. And yes, I did make my first communion in a Charles Barkley jersey. But I also bought a Draymond Green jersey from China, and that's my personal playing hero. So let's move on. So I think there is the ultimate stay away. The best bet on the board today has to be, to me, the Los Angeles Lakers money line at the Detroit Pistons coming off a loss. And looking at that, I do see so much money is on the Pistons. It's opened at 10. Now it's at 8.5. And I'm close to making this a rule. The Pistons might be in Knicks territory for me. I bet against them last night in Cleveland because I knew Andre Drummond would have revenge in a meaningless game. And the Pistons, it's 7.5 now. I mean, how is so much money pouring in on Detroit? I don't care what the injuries are on the Lakers side. I don't care if it's Alex Caruso and 4 more Alex Carusos. This Pistons franchise is outwardly trying to lose games. Maybe Blake's just going to try and show out, angle for that buyout so we can get to LA. But I see so much. The Pistons are actually Vegas's favorite team because they've only lost by more than 10 a handful of times this year. They're pouring money all over them. I don't know how to associate them with my emotions for wanting to tank. I don't really want to bet for or against the Pistons because I see how mangled that rotation is on a daily basis. Their starting point guard's been a point guard for like 3 weeks, which has been the case in Detroit for 2 seasons. Oh, shouts to Bruce Brown. It is tough out there. But yeah, stay away from that one. I get the heebie-jeebies from that line, but I'm doing it all out of order here. So let's go back to the beginning of the day. Oh, none of these were even the games I wanted to talk about. Jesus Christ, we are passionate this afternoon. I want to talk Blazers Rockets. I love this line. Yes, it is a whale. Yes, it does qualify for me to dress up like a Gordon's fisherman and shout, ahoy! I need a horn in my box of sound effects. Somehow I don't have a horn. It's too far away today. But do you realize how injured the Blazers are? Not only are they out McCollum, not only are they out Nurkic, and then, you know what? They are out Robert Covington in the concussion protocol. So I'm getting W. Bennett shouting out, and you're like, Lakers money line parlayed with pick a favorite. Why don't you just tie the Rockets money line to that Lakers money line? And that's probably like a 125-ish payout there, I would guess. I'm just computing the odds in my head. And, I could even tie the Suns in there as well. I do love the Suns, but I can't talk about the Suns. People were very upset. Everyone's so bitchy about the Warriors today. But yeah, in the Blazers Rockets, and the Blazers, they're so hurt, and they're already in a sense not a very deep team, right? They have guys who are kind of filling in, who don't have 36 minutes playing NBA minutes a game on their resume. And, if you look at this tonight, they're only like 4.5 point dogs, but with Nurkic, with McCollum, with Covington, they're missing like 3 of the top 75 players in the league. I personally think that's going to be quite impactful. And I like the Rockets. I think James Harden was really stupid to force his way to Brooklyn. Maybe not just because the East is very imbalanced and they have more of a shot there. But I like this Rockets team. Oladipo gives them a number 1 option, a little bit of age. The crucifix, we haven't seen a guy associated with Christian Wood rise from the ashes like this since someone checked the cave next to the hill of Calvary. Christian Wood's been a great addition to this team, and he's actually playing well next to DeMarcus Cousins and John Wall. It's nice to get a little John Wall sauce out there. He's talking shit. He's besmirching the Wizards organization, and it kind of seems like this Rockets team is clicking. Sam, can we pull up the odds for a Rockets playoff berth? Because looking at this 5-man rotation they have, they've got a lot of good NBA players. They can trot out a 3-guard lineup of Eric Gordon, Victor Oladipo, John Wall with Boogie Cousins, and you can either pick PJ Tucker or Christian Wood. Christian Wood over 31.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Fire. You are right, Gabe. All over that one for sure. I wish stand-up wasn't canceled. The only good joke I had working on during quarantine was when quarantine hit was about Christian Wood, and I am going to miss it. So let's scroll down there. I can't quite see it. There is the chat. So we see, Rockets plus 270 to make the playoffs. I like this team. I like doing that because so many people counted them out. Betting on the Rockets to make the playoffs is like cheering for your buddy after a bad breakup. Yeah, the owner's got no money. There's some coach and some GM. Nobody knows what it is. And yeah, if we ever get into a nuclear war with China, I'm sure their facilities are going to be the first target. But I want to see these guys succeed. James should have given it a chance. There's a lot of talent on this roster. And I think there's a lot of guys who I've cheered for a long time. I like cheering for Eric Gordon, who's had worse injury luck than Boogie Cousins. Like, if Boogie comes back from injury, that's one of the most inspiring stories in NBA lore, and it comes from a notorious hothead. So, yeah, I'm going to spend the season cheering for the Houston Rockets. I think they were wrong to get dumped. I think people looked at their ownership situation and just thought it was a regular owner. I will go to my grave thinking that it was somehow related to the crazy loans that he'd taken out. And I do have another conspiracy theory. I'm proffering on the walk-on tonight. We're taping at 5:30, and I'm pretty convinced this one's true, actually. So if you want to subscribe to the Props Network, you will catch that clip later. I was actually going to ask Sam to put out my Cleveland Cavaliers conspiracy, the Triple C, as a separate clip, because I'm sure my co-host Brian Allen Mitchell will be hilarious in that. So yeah, I like the Rockets in that game. I think Rockets to make the playoffs is good value. And if I could find a head-to-head bet of the Rockets to have more wins than the Mavericks, I'd like to make that bet too. Okay, so my last pick today, Heat Clippers. This is the opposite of Suns Warriors. This is the opposite of Sixers and Lakers. Everybody's out in this one. There's no Jimmy Butler. There's no Kawhi Leonard. There's no Paul George. Though if it were a playoff game, there'd be no Paul George anyway. That was fun. That was a fun one. Bam Adebayo is hands down the best player in this game, but I do think that Serge Ibaka actually has the sort of athleticism, length, and quickness to match up with him pretty well. So that being said, I look at the fact that the Heat played last night and they're already decimated. They're down they have two guys in the COVID protocol. They've got two guys who are either sitting out with injury or battling to play back through injury. And you know what? I just think the Clippers, they're trotting out the 2018 Detroit Pistons here. They got Reggie Jackson, they got a Morris brother, they got Luke Kennard, and that I've seen those players play really well together. I like them in this game, and I think I'd probably flirt with the money line here. I also really like the over here. It's 213.5. To me, that figure seems based on these teams' reputation more than the players who will be in the game tonight. Oh, someone's saying Hero or Duncan are going to have a big game tonight. Let me just trot out my favorite bit. Here is my Duncan Robinson impression. He's always making that face out there, right? He just looks surprised, like he just saw a ghost, but he's an assassin. Shouts to number 55. When's Duncan Robinson getting his rap song? So I am being told the over in that game is now 214.5. And I do think that's gone up since I placed that bet about an hour ago. I'm placing my bets a little early today. We're risking. So yeah, those are my picks. It's a combination of looking at the rest, looking at the injuries, which is the case of the Blazers and Rockets, looking at the other things affecting it with the Heat and the Clippers, and then just like in the Phoenix Suns, I like that team. I think they play slow, but they play well, so I like the Suns against the Warriors with the under. They both played last night, but one of those teams is filled with old fogies, and one of those teams only has one old fogey. So I'm going to hang out here for a few minutes. If you have anything you'd like to discuss, if you have anything you want me to chime in on, we can talk about it. we're going to do a lot of fun things here on the Props Network this week. So I'm kind of a finance nerd. So we are going to talk about how the GameStop scandal interferes with the Mets' new ownership group and how that could actually correlate to World Series odds in a historical perspective. So I'm going to attach that to this feed on Saturday. And tonight, I will be taping TP and the Walk-On. I'm going to go through all the varieties of the Super Bowl betting phenomenon. I've got the history of prop bets, which will be fun. And I'm going to tell you how you bet on the Super Bowl, what that says about you. And then furthermore, I got my Cavaliers conspiracy for tonight I'm excited about. I will be explaining the rules to the Royal Rumble. And then I will be doing my least favorite segment I've ever done in my career in media. I will be going through the odds for Matt Stafford's next NFL team. My fiance's only ever seen me cry because I was sad once, and it was the other night about Stafford. So maybe I'll cry in the Props Network tonight. Would you guys like that? I was a little sad when I put out that James Harden to Brooklyn video, but this is like losing my kid brother. Matt's my boy. Okay, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stay on the NBA. So I had so much fun today. I will be back. Oh, I love Stafford to Miami. I think Stafford to Miami is actually my pick because couldn't Miami just throw us Tua and number 21 while keeping 3? That allows Miami to pair a great defense and a great running game with Stafford and potentially Jamar Chase as a wide receiver 1. I like that for both options. I think Miami could be a Super Bowl contender with that trade, and I'd love to see Stafford play for a well-run franchise such as Stephen Ross's Go Blue and Brian Flores's Miami Dolphins. Stafford to Miami. That was it. Spoiler alert for this evening. Until then, subscribe to the Props Network. We got great stuff coming down the pike all over the place, and I will be back Saturday afternoon. Be sure to check out the Props Network tomorrow. Dexter and the boys are doing NBA pick and props. NBA prick and props. That's only in J.R. Smith DMs. So until then, this is Joel Walkowski walking off.